Hi, welcome back. My name is Alex. I am a knitter from Vancouver, and I'm here with just a regular knitting podcast episode today. So I'm going to update you on my finished objects, my whips, and an acquisition, cheeky little acquisition. Don't worry, I didn't break my yarn band. So a little foreshadowing there. And this is the episode with all the gift knits. This is, tis the season. This is the season of gift knits. So I've made a good dent in my gift knitting to-do list. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Before we jump right into it, and before I tell you what I'm wearing, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who checked out my first couple of videos. I really appreciate it. At the time of filming this, I've just posted my third video, which is my wardrobe basics wish list video. So thanks in advance if you've checked that one out, and for checking out my first two episodes, for liking and subscribing and commenting. It's been so cool to hear from people from other parts of the world, other parts of Canada. It's really exciting to connect with new people, and I've just been having a really good time with this, new creative outlet. So yeah, just a big thank you. And if you do like these videos, please do subscribe, give me a comment, tell me where you're watching from, tell me what you're working on. I would love to hear it. So anyway, let's get right into it. I'm going to tell you what I'm wearing. This is called the Clotilde cardigan, and it is by the designer Minimi Knit Design. Again, I've never actually said that out loud. I think it's pronounced Minimi, but I could be totally wrong. So feel free to correct me if I am wrong. And I knitted this starting on January 18th of 2025. And I finished it on February 10th of 2025. And I thought this would be kind of a fitting cardigan to wear in this episode because I knit this using gifted yarn from my mom. So this was made out of yarn that my mom had given me for Christmas last year. So this is made out of the Prairie Fire Alpaca Merino Cashmere in this beautiful medium gray color. And I paired it with the Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Morning Haze. I used about 3.5 skeins of the mohair, so about 785 meters, give or take. And I used 4.5 skeins of the Prairie Fire Alpaca Merino Cashmere. And I used just shy of 820 meters, or roughly. Again, these are estimations because I don't have a scale. So I was just, going off of what I thought I had left. And yeah, it's a really beautiful cardigan. It's a drop shoulder cardigan. This is my first time ever knitting like a button band. And this button band you actually knit, it's integrated, so you knit it in the pattern, which I think is great for a beginner. However, I am experiencing some gapping. So apologies if I'm kind of adjusting here. But yeah, I think that because it was my first time knitting a button band, I could have definitely been, and I coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? I could have been more careful with my measurements and just making sure I was being more precise, because I do experience the gapping between the buttons, which, is unfortunate. I really like the way that it looks buttoned up with the first two buttons unbuttoned, but obviously the little gapping is not ideal. I was kind of going for that sort of Susanne look, kind of looking for something similar to the Gaspar cardigan by Susanne. So I think this design is a pretty good match for that. This pattern was released in January of 2025. Okay, so I guess maybe that's why it was on my radar, because it was really, I guess I was really on the ball. I knit it in January and it was released in January. And the designer used Lamana Como and Lamana Premia. And it is listed as a worsted weight pattern, 18 stitches in stockinette, and needle size US 7 or 4.5 millimeter, and using about 880 to 1840 meters, and there are 10 sizes. This design is actually made so that you can wear it reversible, which is really cool. I've actually never worn it in that way before, but I think I would totally make this one again, especially now that I have more knitting experience under my belt. Actually, I haven't really done any other cardigans with button bands. I'm always wondering if what I'm saying is true. I'm like, have I? No, I don't think I have. So I feel like I could definitely use more practice with like placing the buttons, figuring out the exact correct spacing for the buttonholes. So I think I could do a better job of that now. And yeah, I would totally remake this pattern. It's not on my list of things that I'm gonna do at this point in the future, like anytime soon, but I would do it. I would do it. The pattern, I don't remember having any troubles understanding the pattern, so would recommend. All right, let's get right into my finished objects and my gift knits. So I'm gonna start off with this one here. Can I show this? This is the Sabai sweater by Paula Strict, Susanne Muller. If you don't already know the Sabai sweater, I'm sure you know the Sabai top, hugely popular design in the summer, both this summer and last summer. And this is kind of her sweater version of it. I knit myself this back in the summer, early fall. I used quite a different yarn, so mine is quite different. This is a gift knit from my often mentioned friend Karen, and I used a really gorgeous yarn for this one. I'll show you the ball band. It's a little bit folded here, but there's the ball band. This is Penelope yarn by Rerum Natura, and it is a merino wool with silk, and it is 133 meters per 50 grams in the color Creme. And this yarn was so beautiful to work up. It feels really squishy, and the actual yarn is very rounded. I don't know if that gives you a good view. This is all that I have left, so I worked hers up in the second size, and I bought 9 skeins, 9 50-gram skeins, and this is all I've got left. So I could actually figure that out. Maybe I'll put it on the screen to tell you the exact meterage that well, roughly the exact meterage minus this. I'll tell you what 9 skeins was. And I am a little worried. It does look a little big, so I'm a little worried that this is going to be too big for her. But regardless, I think it will be a really cozy, nice sweater for her to have, and I'm planning on giving it to her this weekend. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's got a drop shoulder, nice wide boat neck. I knitted a little cropped in the body. I guess you can't really see. Maybe I'll do some B-roll footage of me trying it on. But yeah, I really loved working on this one. It was really, really simple to make. You know, as a pattern I'd already knit up before, so it's pretty smooth going, and it goes by pretty quickly, honestly. Not a difficult knit at all. Really, really simple, but gives a nice kind of casual, polished outcome. I think, and I hope, at least mine does for me. And I hope that Karen finds, you know, a good amount of wear for this one, and that she enjoys the fit and the feel. The fabric is really soft and just squishy and cozy. So yeah, really happy with that one. My next and final finished object is the test knit that I did for the Haze sweater in the masculine sizing for the Knit Purl Girl. And here it is. So I used this beautiful dark green. I should say, I knit this for my boyfriend, and I used this beautiful dark green yarn. Saved some ball bands here. So this is Hillesvag Tinde, and it's 100% Norwegian yarn. This is a DK weight garn. This is a DK weight yarn, so I held it double to achieve the Aran weight gauge. Which I don't know if I would recommend necessarily. I think that's maybe too dense, and this is a little bit of a FO fail. It's finished right now, but I'll get into why it's a bit of a fail here. This yarn is meant to be worked on 3.5 to 4 millimeter needles held single. And it is 260 meters per 100 grams. And I can't quite remember how many skeins of yarn I ended up buying total because I bought them in 2 different batches, we'll say. I bought them first from the Knitting Loft in Toronto. They were having a sale back in September. So I actually bought this 9 skeins of the Penelope yarn for Karen's sweater. And I believe I bought 6 skeins to start out with of the Tinde when I thought that I was going to be knitting Chris a different pattern. But when I got into the test knit, I decided I still wanted to use this yarn and I would just buy more because I did a quick search and one of the yarn shops in the city had this yarn. So I just went and bought more in the same color. It did end up being a different dye lot, but they were pretty much the exact same. So I just made sure to hold 1 skein from the original dye lot and 1 skein from the other. And you can't tell, like it doesn't look marled at all. There's no color change. So this is a great design. It's a raglan construction. It looks great. Honestly, I tried it on and I like it on me. The thing is that it is a little bit too small for him, which was such a shame. So I knit the 4th size. He is 39 inches in circumference around the bust or around the chest measurement. And the 4th size is supposed to fit a range between 37 inches and 39.25. So he was on like the larger end of that size range. So, however, I was supposed to end up with a finished garment measuring 41.5 inches in circumference. And my garment ended up only being 40 inches. So it's only 1 inch of positive ease and it's just a little too tight. It does still fit him, but it's just not enough positive ease for it to be like really cozy and comfortable. I think part of the problem was that I held the yarn double to achieve that Aran weight, and I was knitting it on the recommended needle size, which was 5 millimeter, and I think that is just a little bit too tight. I definitely noticed that on my hands, like it was pretty tough on my hands knitting up. I think if I just used an Aran weight yarn, I wouldn't have had the same issues. And I did check the gauge again today, and I am off gauge by 1 stitch. I had 18 stitches per 4 inches instead of 17. So that's probably the problem. One thing though is I only blocked this once, and I only just bought some blocking mats and pins. I didn't have them before, and so I blocked it. It was too small. It was still too small. I expected it to grow more and it didn't. So then I went ahead and I ordered some blocking mats and pins. So my plan is to reblock it and pin it out and see if I can get at least another inch of positive ease, and that might totally fix it. I feel like there's definitely room for these stitches to be stretched out a little bit because it is quite dense. The other issue is that my bind off is not stretchy enough. It doesn't look too bad actually. I did an Italian bind off, but it is because the sweater is like snug on him. It is just a little bit too tight. So I'm thinking I'm going to undo the bind off. Really, I might just cut it, which will be a little painful. And I might add a little bit of extra length on the ribbing as well to give him just a little bit more. It's like long enough, but just, and I think he'd probably prefer it if it were like maybe 2 inches, 1 or 2 inches longer with the ribbing. So I think I'll probably do that. I do still have two full untouched skeins left, so there's definitely no worry about me running out of yarn. And I really want this to be a sweater that he likes and enjoys wearing and is comfortable in, so I'd rather take the time to at least undo the bind off and knit it. I might not do an Italian bind off again. I might do like the super stretchy bind off, or at least like a partial stretchy bind off. If I block it and it's still not giving enough ease, I will likely frog it and redo it. I won't obviously I won't be able to re-knit it by the time the test knit is finished. The test knit is finished on December 10th. So I'm first going to definitely try to block it and stretch it and see if I can just get it to a point where he likes it. And I've emailed Sophie, so I'm going to, talk with her more about it and see what we can do. There's not a lot of time left before the deadline, so we'll see. I'm not totally sure what the protocol is there, but it should be okay. Either way, it still looks great. I'll maybe insert some B-roll of at least me wearing it. I'll definitely update when I've made those adjustments and kind of fixed it so that you can see what it looks like. And I'll ask Chris if I can take some photos of him wearing it, because that will give a better idea of the actual fit. So yeah, that's the Haze sweater. The pattern is not out yet, but I would really recommend it. It was easy to follow, and there's a feminine version as well. So if you like this, just excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Gus is just scratching. He's just scratching. He's ready to play. There's also feminine sizing, so if you like this design, would highly recommend. I think maybe I'll make myself one. Maybe this is my simple pullover. That's another good option for me. All right, so those are my finished objects for the month. On to my next gift knit. This is my mom's. This is like her joint goose. So this is the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And last time I showed this, I had like this much of the collar done. So I've done a lot. I've finished the whole body and I've bound off at the end. So I just need to pick up the sleeves and start on those. And it's very exciting. Again, this is another repeat pattern for me. I had made this for myself earlier this year in the springtime. So, and even though the gauge is quite different, like I'm using very different yarns. When I made it for myself, I used a DK yarn and held it with Mohair. And for this version, I am only using a fingering and a Mohair, which I think is what the pattern actually calls for. I didn't really understand yarn weights when I made mine. So it's definitely a lot lighter, which is great. I think it'll be a little bit more wearable like throughout the whole year rather than just on the absolute coldest days of winter. But my mom does live on the prairies, so if there was somebody to knit a thick sweater for, it would be for her. I'm using mostly all Knitting for Olive. The main color here is Buttercup in the Merino and the Soft Silk Mohair. I just need to, oh, okay. You being nuts, buddy. The blue is Holst Garn Coast in the color California Blue, held with Knitting for Olive Poppy Blue. And then the white stripe is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair and Merino in just the undyed color. And so when I showed my sister a photo of the colors that I was using, she said, oh, it's like the Swedish flag. Which I did not put together. These are just my mom's favorite colors. My mom loves yellow and she loves blue. So that's why I chose them. It's very bright, very bright sweater. I really hope she likes it. But yeah, now I kind of have been calling it her Sweden sweater in my head, or sometimes her IKEA sweater in my head. But it's her Norma sweater. Gorgeous raglan construction, really simple color work stripes. I love working up this pattern. It's so enjoyable, very potato chippy. Lots of people have loved and have knitted this pattern, so I don't feel like I need to go on too much about it. I can give you some more details though. So the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear was published in February 2024. She used Isir Tvini, Isir Silk Mohair, and Isir Tweed. And she used all three in the pattern. So this might be off gauge as well. Whoops. It said lace plus sport equals Aran. Yeah, I guess I am knitting this off gauge. Huh. That's probably something I should have figured out beforehand. I don't know why I have such a hard time with like yarn substitutions and understanding yarn weights. And yeah, I am knitting a size 2, but obviously it's going to be smaller since I am only now realizing that it's, you know, definitely not an Aran weight. I'm knitting this at like a DK. I'm knitting my mama's size 2, and I knew that I was off gauge when I did the gauge swatch, so I was knitting a size 2 in hopes of getting somewhere between the first and the second size. So I think I should still be okay there, but I guess we'll find out. I'll measure it and see how I'm doing compared to the measurement on the sweater. It's 19 stitches per 28 rows. Needle sizes are US 8 5mm, US 6 4mm, and US 2.5 3mm, and uses between 800 and 1600 meters. There are sizes from extra small to 4XL. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. My mom does not like super oversized garments, as I've said, so I think it should be okay either way. Like, it looks like it would be small on me, but my mom is definitely more petite than I am, so I think it should be okay. I'll let you know. Another update will be in the future, I'm sure, once I've finished once this is a finished object, and then once I've been able to give it to her. The 2 whips that I have going on are just like kind of little side projects for me. These are the only 2 things that are on my needles right now that are for me. Well, they're technically, besides the Norma, the only other 2 things on my needles, but that will soon change. This is what I've got done from the sock. I had shown my first finished sock, which still there's ends that need to be woven in. So this is my finished sock that I showed in my first knitting podcast episode. And I forget the name of the pattern. I just found a free pattern on Ravelry, but I'll link the name below and I'll put it on the screen here so you can see. It's a 3x1 rib pattern sock. So I've just got, what is that, about 2 inches past the cuff. So I've still got quite a ways to go before I split for the heel. But yeah, that's just been kind of like my travel project. And then this little sock, I had actually started back in October, and this was kind of a hibernating whip. This sock, or the yarn for this sock, was bought kind of on a whim because I was out of the city. I was on Vancouver Island, and I had brought yarn to work on Karen's sweater while I was gone, but I only brought 2 skeins, and I actually knitted through those 2 skeins. So when I was in Victoria, I was just itching for something else to knit. I was like, I need another thing to knit that's small that will get me through the next day and get me through the ferry ride. I can't be without knitting on a ferry, God forbid. And so my friend kindly took me to the Beehive yarn shop, and they have yarn from Les Laines Biscotte, I believe. This just says Biscotte. Laine teinte à la main, Biscotte, hand-dyed yarns. Yeah, I think this is Les Laines Biscotte, a Montreal-based yarn producer. I think also a Montreal-based yarn shop that hand-dyes their own yarn, I guess would be more accurate to say. And this sock yarn is merino, 85% merino, 15% nylon. There's 400 meters per 100 grams, and it's in the yarn called Bis-Sock. Bis-Sock. And the colorway is so fun. It's a self-striping yarn. It's already all like balled up. I actually balled up these 400 meters by hand at night at my friend's house. It was crazy. Okay, so I don't know if this really does it justice, but it's a self-striping yarn. I'll show you what I've got so far. You'll have a much better idea. I've never bought anything like this before, and I just wanted something really fun and, again, kind of potato chippy. Every time you see a new stripe, it kind of encourages you to keep going. So this is what it's looking like knit up. So different from anything else that I ever knit. My cat is really in a mood right now, so he's yelling, so I apologize if you hear a cat screaming in the background. But yeah, this is so unlike anything I've ever knit for myself. But I thought, why not a fun sock, right? If you're going to use a self-striping yarn and you're a little bit more shy about like wearing super bold colors or like, you know, this combination of bold colors, like a sock is where to do it for sure. So this has been super fun. It was hibernating for most of this past month because I've just been working on other things, bigger projects, but I just picked this up again today, and I'm almost at the point, I think I basically am at the point where I need to look at the instructions again, and actually do like the heel construction. So that should be really cool. Fun little side project. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get either of these socks done. Historically not very motivated by sock knitting, so those are there. I'll let you know when and if I finish them. All right, that's it for my whips. So on to my yarn acquisition. As mentioned previously, I was out of town. I was actually on a little getaway with my friends from high school, and my friend had asked me to knit her husband a toque for Christmas. She basically commissioned me to knit her husband a toque. And so I did, and I knit that up before the trip in October so that it was ready to give to her. And my other friend, Nathan, saw the toque and he was like, oh, would you make me a toque? So when we were out together, we were out on Pender Island, just a little friend getaway. It was super lovely, really beautiful. I might insert a picture here of where we stayed because it was super idyllic. It was so beautiful. We were only there for 2 nights, but it was just, you know, high school friends who all live in different places just to reconnect and get together. So it was really lovely. When we were there, Nathan asked if I would make him a hat, and of course I obliged. And together we went through the Knitting for Olive website, and he picked out a color and he ordered the yarn, and then we just had it delivered to my place. And unfortunately I did get hit with duties, so I had to pay like $15 of duties when it got here, which is a bummer, but whatever, it's fine. So here's the beautiful yarn. The reason why it looks like this is because I did try to cast it on yesterday, and I don't know what was happening. Like, my brain was not functioning properly, and I tried casting this on multiple times, and every time I joined in the round, somehow I was twisting the yarn. That has not happened to me for a very long time. Like, that feels like a very beginner knitter situation, but it happened to me more than once, like twice in a row. So I frogged it and was like, we're gonna put this down now. And then I picked up a sock and I was like, I'll just do this. So I need to wait till I don't know what was, honestly, I don't know what was happening. So I need to wait till I'm in a different headspace, I think. But that's why, so that's long story long, that's why these skeins look like this. I'm holding this double to achieve a DK weight yarn, and I'll tell you about the pattern in a second, but this is Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Hazel. This was the color that my friend picked, which is really fun. It's nice to see it in person. It's very taupey. It's a very like taupey, medium grayish brown. I like it a lot. I guess taupe is a grayish brown. That's a little redundant. So I really like this. I don't know if I think this could be a nice color on me, actually. Maybe I'll consider this for another neutral. I'm going to be using a free pattern. I'll put the name below, but I knitted my boyfriend this toque last year for Christmas, and it's just a 2x2 ribbed toque. And it was pretty easy to knit up, and I like the way that it looks. So I'm going to be making that again. I know that the pattern is good. And so yeah, I will start that soon. I will start that again soon. So that is my one yarn acquisition. Didn't break my yarn band, folks. I hope I didn't scare ya. I do have one other sneaky little cheeky little acquisition. I had to buy some different needles, some DPNs, and in the yarn shop I saw these stitch markers and they were so cute, so I had to bring them home with me. So this is my other little acquisition. Look at those little toques. I haven't used them yet, but I'm excited to use them. Maybe when I cast on Nathan's toque, I'll use that as the stitch marker. Yes, that's what I'll do. These are Fox and Pine stitch markers. And yeah, they're $14. It's called the Markers Fair Isle Hats. So I'm excited to use those. They're very sweet. And I think that's about it. I think that covers everything. Went through my FOs, went through my whips, went through my little acquisitions. So I'm just gonna keep plugging away at my mom's sweater, gonna start Nathan's toque, And I am going to swatch for my Luma pullover. I will hopefully have that started by the time I do my next knitting podcast. So I think that wraps it up. So until next time, I hope you have a great weekend and happy knitting. Talk to you later. Bye.